Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, written by the Real Federal. Ambassador Sadana's 8 legs could barely maintain traction on the marble floor as he skidded into the office of his human liaison officer. His 4 eyes whirled in their shocking pink color that indicated alarm/terror. "Friend Douglas Johnson," he blurted out through the translator, his labored breath whistling in and out through the spiracles. "It is a catastrophe." Administrator Second Class Doug Johnson looked up from his desk in concern. "What's up, Sutter? Were the environmental controls in the mansion unacceptable? Was there a problem with the food we provided?" The ambassador's eyes deepened to a pinkish red of alarm/anger. "The source dam controls and the food is irrelevant. It's all finished. War has broken out." Doug stood up in alarm. "War? Jesus, where, when? I haven't seen any reports on the vid about the Mathari being at war. Who's attacking you?" The eye color shifted from red to purple of anger/sorrow was immediate. "What are you talking about? We aren't at war, friend Douglas Johnson. You are! You swore that your people had ceased all conflicts between groups of your own species. And now, it's all over. My mission is a failure. I will be sent home in disgrace, and your people will be cut off from contact with all other races." His head and antennae drooped as his eyes changed to black-blue of utter despair. Doug did a quick access check to all of the major news nets, while the ambassador's eyes got darker and darker. After a few minutes, he looked up to the nearly broken Mathmari and said, hoping to break him out of his funk, "Mr. Ambassador, I've scanned every major newsfeed, and other than a few localized murder, death, kills, there are no reports of any conflicts, major or minor, anywhere in the human sphere, let alone war. Who did you get this information from, and what did they say?" The ambassador's eyes flashed red. "I saw the conflict start with my own eyes. I watched as 2 forces faced each other on some battlefield I know not where. There were obvious discussions that led to some sort of threat display. The 2 armies then took the field in some sort of ritualized hand-to-hand combat. The level of violence was so overwhelming, I could scarcely maintain consciousness. After witnessing several casualties, I ran down here to inform you before I contacted my government. We warned you that no species that wars upon its own people is welcome in the Galactic Combine." "Mr. Ambassador, I can assure you that no human group is at war with another. I would appreciate it if you could provide me with the video that you saw so that I can verify its authenticity before respective governments need to be involved." The ambassador waved to the holovid projector. "It was being broadcast by your own people on channel S45 for all to see." Doug looked at the agitated Mathmori and then said out loud, "Della, activate holo channel S45. The projector activated, showing 2 groups of massive humans squaring off, one set in black uniforms, the other in red. Doug looked at the ambassador. "Sitter, this isn't war. It's the Rugby World Cup between Tonga and New Zealand. This is a sport, not combat. It's played for enjoyment." The ambassador watched as the huge men ran around the field, flinching each time 2 of them bashed into each other. He looked from the screen back to Doug, then back to the screen, and finally back to Doug. His voice was weak. "Friend Douglas, the impact that these humans are enduring would completely shatter the skeleton of any member of the Galactic Combine, except perhaps the silicates. How are they not dying? I have seen actual combat footage of Combine soldiers in battle that do not have this level of violence. And you say your people play this for enjoyment?" Doug smiled. "Yes, my friend. Rugby is a huge rush to play. The running, the hitting, the tackling. Heck, I used to play myself when I was in school. Not at this level, of course, but it's great fun. I mean, there is the occasional broken bone, lost tooth, or dislocated shoulder to deal with, but there is nothing like it." The ambassador's eyes took on the yellow hue of horror. "You participated in an activity that breaks or damages limbs, causes you to lose body parts, and you speak of it casually as if you were taking a stroll in the garden. Is your entire race insane?" Doug just shook his head and laughed. Oh, Mr. Ambassador, you've only been here 2 days. You ain't seen nothing yet. End of story. Story number 2. Death by Immortality, written by Agro. Our favorite tactic for destroying civilizations is a strange one, but it's been quite effective. We offer a gift, medical immortality. Such a gift is never turned down, and the consequences are never taken into account. The same cycle of events always occurs. In the first fraction of a generation, there is massive cultural stagnation. Death by old age has a way of freshening the ideas of a species. After a full generation would have normally passed, resource wars begin to cripple the species. No economy can handle a doubling in size over such a short time span. Finally, the select few begin to own absolutely everything. The masses die off, leaving just a few threats, a people to kill, an echo of an empire their species once was. The result is a drained, fractured, and weakened species that loses the ability to adapt. In search of more resources, we traveled to a new area where no one had learned the true cost of immortality. After a long journey, we found an empire that called themselves Humanity. They spread quickly, but they were greedy. Their entire race would accept our gift before the consequences could be discovered. As it turns out, humanity had solved all of these problems already. When humans grow bored, they seek new problems and new stimuli. Many move to other planets just for a change in scenery. Resource wars had already taken billions of lives before we found them, and a system of government was put in place to prevent more death. As for the situation where a powerful few controlled everything, they've been in that situation since long before they industrialized. Mistakes had been made. This war just got a lot harder. End of story. Story number 3. Humans are up to the challenge, written by I Am Astrian. Speaking frankly, humans have never been a match for us. Put a man versus a stag and a stag will win. But that's where the problem comes. A man will watch that battle, learn from the mistakes, and then challenge the stag, thinking he knows how to win. And he will lose, but another man will watch the battle. This continues on for a while, until a man finally does win. That man does one of a few things. He claims to be superior because he won where others lost, continues to challenge until he eventually dies, or he starts teaching the next warriors what he learned. That is the terrifying thing. Humans have a unique ability to evolve their minds. They can instill a new youngling with the knowledge of ages, preparing them for a future beyond present capabilities. 2 generations ago, a stag never lost a fight. 10 years ago, it was 1 in 20 chance. Now, at best, it is 50-50. Though, if I'm honest, that number is probably only so high for my pride's sake. 100 years ago, the strange beings escaped from the crater they had caused, spreading out like a disease, destroying forests and ecosystems where it had been cultivated for centuries, all in the name of their self-preservation. We watched them, waiting to see how long their hunger would last. 2 years later, it was decided their hunger knew no bounds. We established a boundary and told ourselves that we acquiesced that land to the newcomers. As they had survived a fall from the stars, we felt that they earned at least a little respite. But at that boundary, we waited for them to arrive, and when they did, we delivered our ultimatum. Any beast of theirs which crosses the boundary would be subject to battle immediately. For years, the boundary was a success. Young bucks would earn their place in the herd by patrolling the boundary, battling the newcomers whenever they went past the border. It was a chore. After years, we no longer feared the lives of our young out on patrol, until the unthinkable happened, and a newcomer defeated a buck in battle. This battle was witnessed by both sides, as the newcomer rarely came alone anymore, but watched as one would cross the border and fight, making noise as the fight occurred. Of course, a number of our own would stand back at the ready in case others decided to run through during the battle. The bipedal contender managed to avoid a charge with the buck, even though it was a well-executed charge. Swung his arms around the charging buck's neck and leapt onto his back, grabbing hold of the buck's antlers and forcing its head down while impeding his forelegs, causing the buck to crash into the ground. Neither got up from the fall, but a victory was earned, and the watching newcomers quieted their revelry of the spectacle, turned and went back. It was another 2 years before another was victorious, and this time the newcomer was able to get up. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.